Welcome to Fox 54 News at 6. I'm Kenesha Dees. A bill passed by the House and now the state Senate could see the use of cameras in work zones on the interstate, and it's all to keep highway workers safe. Senate Bill 341, or the Alabama Work Zone Safety Act, passed the Senate today with all the original provisions, including a $250 fine for people going at least 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo shows us the fight to slow down drivers.
The Alabama Work Zone Safety Act would implement a pilot program for speed cameras in roadside construction projects. For the next 2 years, the Alabama Department of Transportation will pick out one site to test the cameras before lawmakers potentially decide to implement them at every work site statewide. Representative Michael Kirkland says it'll help state troopers who currently have to sit at work sites across the state to make sure people take speed limits seriously.
You got to have 2 state troopers on each work zone, one to chase the offenders down and enforce the law, and then another to stay there in the work zone in case there's a wreck or something. So, you know, it costs money and it's hard to find people. It's very much a problem across the entire state.
And for workers on Alabama interstates, it's critical to have some sort of protection. That's why Tony Harris with the Department of Transportation says they'll be rolling out the pilot program as soon as possible.
Speeding is that one thing that contributes most to crashes that result in serious injuries and fatalities. So we really need people to be more conscious about safety and about speed, and to be more considerate of workers and those with whom they share the roadways.
And for roadside workers like Joel Oswald, it can mean the difference between life and death.
I'm in the service industry and deal with traffic all the time, and it would be great if we get people just to slow down. I mean, I want to be able to go home in the evening, you know. Some people might look at it as a hindrance. I look at it as just a thing to remind people, hey, you know, we've got people working here.
And if you don't heed the warnings, you could find yourself with a fine in the mail. In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
The bill now headed directly to Governor Kay Ivey's desk for her signature. If passed, the pilot program would roll out over the next few weeks. Spring has fully sprung and the weather nice across the Tennessee Valley today. Check out that pretty blue outside in Huntsville. We had lots of warmth and a lot of us are loving this warmth. I personally hope it stays. Fox 54's Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman will tell us with his forecast. Jordan, a beautiful day to be out, one of the best so far.
Yeah, definitely a beautiful afternoon across the Tennessee Valley, and I would agree it's probably the best day we've had so far this week. Not that any of the other days so far this week were necessarily bad, but this one just seemed like an extra good day. We didn't have any cloud cover in the morning, we didn't have any cloud cover in the afternoon, and the temperatures were in the mid-70s, and that's exactly where we find ourselves this evening, sitting in the low mid-70s. 73 for both Pulaski and Fayetteville, sitting at 75 in Florence over in northwest Alabama, still holding on to the lower 70s over in northeast Alabama. Scottsboro at 72. Fort Payne, good evening. You find yourself sitting at 70 degrees, and then 72 degrees right now in Coleman. Fantastic evening if you want to spend a little bit of time outside. Now gradually we are going to begin to fall off into the 60s, but you're still not going to need a jacket if you're going to be going out for dinner this evening. Temperature is going to be wonderful. And then as we head into the overnight, we drop into the upper 40s. I've got a low temperature right around 48 degrees, so some of us might only fall into the lower 50s. After that, the warmth continues to build, not just as we head into your Friday, but even as we head into the weekend and next week. We'll talk about it in a few minutes.
An investigation underway after a woman died at Marshall County Jail. Officials say correctional officers found the woman unresponsive in her cell early Tuesday morning and immediately performed CPR. She was taken to a hospital by medics, but later died. Authorities identified her as 52-year-old Deborah Upton of Arab, who had been arrested the night before on third-degree domestic violence charges. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency's State Bureau of Investigation is now reviewing the case.
With Mr. Goss, he was sentenced to 2 counts of sodomy of 75 years each, 2 counts of sexual abuse of a child under the age of 12, 15 years each, production of child pornography involving a child, 75 years, as well as 7 counts for possession of child pornography, 10 years each. That's a total of 325 years. All of those sentences run consecutively.
And what you just heard was the Coleman County District Attorney breaking down the sentencing of a man who will spend the rest of his life behind bars. James Doss, sentenced to 325 years in prison for multiple child sex crimes, according to the sheriff's office and DA. He entered a blind plea of guilty to 2 counts of first-degree sodomy, production of child pornography, and several other charges. All sentences ordered to run consecutively. The search of a Red Bank's home has led to an arrest and the seizure of hundreds of grams of meth and fentanyl in Lawrence County. Kermit Madden, the man pictured on your screen, was arrested after Sheriff's Office executed a search warrant on a home in the 2000 block of County Road 268 following a months-long drug investigation. During the search, officials say they recovered more than 213 grams of meth, 4 grams of fentanyl, and several guns you see pictured here. Madden was booked into the Lawrence County Jail on drug trafficking charges with a bond of more than $2 million. 2 men in jail after separate drug trafficking investigations tied to a home in Muscle Shoals. The Colbert County Drug Task Force tells our news partners at Shoals Insider that authorities carried out search warrants at a residence on West Central Avenue after repeated complaints about suspected drug activity. Officials say Joseph Goodwin was arrested Monday with about 1.5 ounces of meth. The next day, investigators say they found nearly 2 ounces of ice hidden in a magnetic box under Josh Hodges' truck. Both men held at the Colbert County Jail, Hodges with a $250,000 bond and Goodwin with a $300,000 bond.
God, you're hot. You know that? Dang. Where do you go to school at?
I go Crockett.
All right.
What you just heard and saw is the comment a Tennessee school board member made in regards to a student who has left him in hot water. Washington County School Board member Keith Irvin seen on camera touching a female student before making an inappropriate comment during a public meeting exactly a week ago. Yesterday, during an emergency meeting, community members demanded Irvin to step down from his position on the board. After reading a statement claiming his comment was taken out of context, the board voted unanimously to censure Irvin, a formal act of disapproval. Records show Irvin was censured in 2009 for making a lewd sexual gesture in a classroom. Huntsville City Council meeting is happening right now, and city leaders could greenlight a lease agreement which would bring a solar farm to Madison County. It would be right here, just off Wall-Triana Highway in Madison County. Huntsville Utilities says it would be the site of a 40-megawatt solar development. FOX54's Gabe Glassman explains its impact.
Tonight, the Huntsville City Council will be discussing to potentially bring a new solar farm to the Madison County area, and Huntsville Utilities says it would benefit their customers. Huntsville Utilities, who's overseeing the project, says its purpose is for them to be able to purchase solar energy at prices cheaper than rates from the Tennessee Valley Authority. A spokesperson for Huntsville Utilities says, quote, "This will benefit Huntsville Utilities customers, lowering Huntsville Utilities electric costs, reduces pressure on customer rates, and helps put off future electric rate modifications." Tonight, the City Council will be voting on a lease agreement for where the farm will be built.
The thing that I am very much aware of is that the Tennessee Valley Authority is pushing up against its debt borrowing limit. And they're at a point where they cannot produce new power plants, which of course Huntsville and other TVA communities need as we continue to grow. So instead of us being capped off, here we're getting innovative, we're finding new sources of energy, and again, city, county, Huntsville Utilities, all working together to make this happen so that as we continue to grow, there will be available energy for us in the future.
District 4 City Council member Bill Kling adds the farm will produce renewable solar energy, with this technology evolving over the last 10 to 15 years. In Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
Last night, the Madison County Commission also considered similar legislation, giving the go-ahead for the project in the county. Athens Limestone Hospital marks a milestone in surgical technology after completing its first robotic spine procedure. Orthopedic spine doctor Black Boyett with TOC Athens performed the procedure using a CT-guided imaging and robotic precision to help place spinal screws and devices more accurately. Hospital leaders say the system allows for smaller, minimally invasive incisions that can reduce pain and recovery time while improving safety and outcomes for patients. Wow. Well, a Madison police officer, now the first in the department to be certified as a drug recognition expert. We spoke with with Ian Jones at work, and you see him there simulating an environment, conducting a drug influence evaluation. Afterward, Jones tells us that this certification helps with both criminal investigations and helping neighboring departments.
In order to get a drug influence evaluation as part of a drug or combined DUI investigation, we had to reach out to other agencies around us. But now we have this capability organic to our ranks, present during our shifts, present to where an officer and a supervisor can call the individual to the scene without having to do a significant amount of interagency coordination in order to make it happen. So it buys time. It allows us to potentially find and collect evidence in a more timely manner than it previously did.
Officer Ian Jones adds he hopes to see more DRE certified officers in Madison PD ranks soon. Artemis II crew makes their return back to planet Earth in a historic mission. We've got a look at their path up ahead. A big campus expansion in the works at one Huntsville Catholic school, and with a multi-million-dollar price tag, we've got the details on what the money is for. Can't believe it's already here. Today is the Artemis II crew's last full day in space. On their wake up this morning, the crew was just more than 127,000 miles from Earth. Here's a live look at the Orion space shuttle. Today, the crew started stowing away equipment they've used throughout the 10-day mission, removing cargo, locker netting, and installing crew seats. All of this in preparation for tomorrow's return to Earth. At around 8:53 p.m., Orion's thrusters are scheduled to ignite for the second return trajectory correction burn. This burn will make sure the spacecraft is aligned for atmospheric re-entry. Artemis II crew is gearing up for their next big move, their return to Earth. One astronaut says anticipation for splashdown has been on their mind since the mission began, calling it a literal and emotional milestone. With data, pictures, and stories still coming home, this experience is proving unforgettable. Hear what he says makes this journey so extraordinary.
I've actually been thinking about entry since April 3rd, 2023, when we got assigned to this mission. And one of the first press conferences we were asked, what are we looking forward to? And I said splashdown, and it's kind of humorous, but it's literal as well, that we have to get back. There's so much data that you've seen already, but all the good stuff is coming back with us. There's so many more pictures, so many more stories, lifelong memories. I'm going to be thinking about and talking about all of these things for the rest of my life.
Splashdown is set for 8:07 p.m. off the coast of San Diego. And we'll have all of that and all things Artemis II right here on Fox 54 Plus on demand and on our mobile app. Coming up, St. John Paul II school has a major campus expansion in the works, and for more than 12 million reasons, we learn why. Jordan, we've had a sunny streak. How long will that last?
Yeah, sunshine's going to continue for the next several days, and because of that, temperatures are only going to continue to climb for the next several days. We'll talk about it in a couple of minutes. Did you know that you can get weather impact updates 24/7 on Fox 54 Plus? Here's how. Go to Fox 54 Plus on your Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, or Samsung. Once you're on the main screen, push the down arrow and click on the Fox 54 Plus Weather Impact 24/7 block. Here, you'll find radar, current temperatures and conditions, traffic cams, forecasts, and more, all available on demand. Want to get back to the main channel? Just push the down arrow and click on the 24/7 stream button. It's your weather impact updates 24/7 on Fox 54 Plus. Start streaming today.
Broadway Theater League announced its 2026-27 season lineup this morning, and it's packed. Fans can look forward to Waitress, Beauty and the Beast, The Wiz, and The Notebook, along with family favorites like Bluey's Big Play. The season will kick off this August. Executive Director of Broadway Theater League, Andrew Willman, says this season they wanted to make sure there's a show for everyone.
And this year, we really focused on shows that we thought the community would really want to engage with. And this is a great lineup of shows that is, I think, very powerful and uplifting and exciting that people can really connect with and enjoy. BTL has been a part of this community since 1959, and since then, we have done nothing but grow and to better serve all factions of our community.
Find a full list of Broadway Theater League's show lineup online at fox54.com. Beautiful look from Governor's Drive. You can see the sky above, lots of sunshine, pretty blue as people drive on their way home or wherever their destination is. I enjoyed being outside today. I took full advantage of it.
As you should. And there are several more opportunities to spend some time outside. You have outdoor plans this weekend?
No, not yet. I haven't gotten that far.
Oh,
not yet.
You have taken to hiking in recent months.
Oh, yes.
It would be a wonderful weekend for that.
Okay.
Just saying, you know.
All right, hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah, we also have had no rain, and I think that's one of the very few benefits at this point of the lack of rain, is that you won't be stepping through giant puddles of mud.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's a relief.
It is. It comes as especially when you get to the point in the year when a lot of the hiking trails start to become shaded by the leaves, so the mud tends to stick around a little bit longer. That is currently not a problem we have across the Tennessee Valley. Now, the lack of rain is otherwise kind of a bad thing because drought conditions linger across all of North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. I was discussing with some folks on my Facebook page how we could really use the rain. They were commenting how they've already had to bust out their sprinklers for their grass because the grass is just simply not turning green that quickly this year. That Bermuda is trying to stay dormant about as long as it can, but everybody's already having to bust out their sprinklers because we continue to discuss moderate drought conditions across all of North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee, abnormally dry down in southern Coleman County, and then severe drought conditions across a small portion of northeast Alabama. But at this point, the different drought levels do not matter. Just understand that we could use some rain. The Colorado State University Atlantic hurricane season outlook was released today, calling for 13 named storms. 6 of those 13 would strengthen into hurricanes, and then 5 of those 6 would strengthen into a major hurricane. A major hurricane is one that reaches a strength of a Category 3 storm with winds of 110 miles per hour. Now, they also noted a couple of different things. The forecast seems to note the early season being a little more active as opposed to the late season. Looks like an El Nino would settle in towards the later part of the season. An El Nino would call for more wind shear, which could put a bit of a hindrance on development through the later part of the hurricane season. But again, this is just a forecast. It is never going to be a guarantee. Radar looks nice and quiet this evening. It's going to stay that way, not just as we head into the overnight, but for the next several days. As a matter of fact, I have no opportunities for rain until we get to next Thursday. It was a beautiful afternoon in the temperature department, seasonal for this time of year, maybe a couple of degrees above average. 77 was the high in Florence. We saw 75 in Russellville, 74 in Huntsville. We saw the low mid-70s over in Northeast Alabama. 73 was the high in Scottsboro, mid-70s for our friends up across southern Middle Tennessee. And that's exactly where many of us find ourselves this evening. We're still sitting in the lower 70s. Now, our friends over in Northeast Alabama have kind of begun to fall off into the mid-60s, sitting at 69 degrees, both Arab and Albertville. Wonderful. If you'd like to spend some time outside this evening, everybody's eventually going to drop into the 60s before we fall into the upper 40s as we head into the overnight. Getting on the school bus tomorrow morning, heading out the door for work, 52 at 7, 56 by 8, 61 at 9, already into the upper 60s by the time we get to 10 a.m. Have a good look at the next 7 days. 78 for your Friday. It'll be the last day we spend in the 70s. Otherwise, we're talking about temperatures in the 80s, 82, 83 as we head into Saturday, Sunday. No rain, plenty of sunshine. Going to be a beautiful weekend to get things done outdoors. 82 on Monday, slight increase in the amount of cloud cover every single day next week, and then the small opportunity for rain by the time we get to next Thursday. Now, by the time we get to next Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to begin to bring a little more moisture into our atmosphere, so it may be just a touch humid. It's not going to be intolerable. It's just going to be a touch humid with rising temperatures, I might add. Temperatures in the mid-80s each day, 85 and 85 for Tuesday, Wednesday, 83 next Thursday.
St. John Paul II Catholic High School announced several major upgrades to its campus today after a highly successful capital campaign. According to school staff, they've already raised more than $7 million of a $12 million goal. The upgrades will eventually include a new gym, a digital media center, upgraded athletics fields, and a performing arts center. The high school's president, Michael Burke, says it's all been a community effort to raise the funds.
I am personally thrilled of where we are, with our capital campaign. It takes a lot of one-on-one conversation with people. It takes a lot of people who will do the hard work, including our alumni and our board and our benefactors.
It's still unclear when they'll break ground on the campus expansions, but they expect some big changes for the school as supporters continue to give to the campaign, known to the school as the Together We Soar campaign. Well, what's new with sports?
Well, a huge soccer match with worldwide implications is set to take place right there inside of Jordan-Hare Stadium. Stay tuned. I've got details up next.
Fox 54 Plus has your news, sports, and weather. Start your evening with Fox 54 at 5:30, delivering the latest headlines and live reports straight from the scene. Then stay informed with Fox 54 News at 9, featuring your Tennessee Valley certified most accurate weather impact team, tracking everything from tornado threats to traffic delays during severe weather. Fox 54 Sports Extra brings you more of what sports fans crave, with deeper insights, expert analysis, and all the action that matters most. On Fox 54 Plus, you'll also find Alabama politics, plus 24/7 weather radar and real-time forecasts to keep you ahead of the storm. Looking for a quick recap? Don't miss Fox 54 Week in Review, highlighting the biggest stories of the week. Jumpstart your morning with Morning Rush, fast-paced news updates featured with uplifting stories from across the globe. Get your entertainment fix with Getting Real, where we break down movie reviews, top 10 lists, and spotlight the newest film. Die Hard fan? Locked On Sports dives deep into the Crimson Tide, the Tigers, college rivalries, and pro action. True crime more your style? Killer Cases brings you gripping real-life stories that stick with you. Hungry for more? Cooking with Style serves up mouth-watering recipes that are easy to make and impossible to resist. From movie previews before you head to the theater with Take a Look to must-know headlines from across the region and around the world with In the News. Watch all of these shows on demand and also on the Fox 54 News app. Available on Android and iOS devices. Streaming 24/7.
In a few months, North America is set to host the world's biggest sporting event, and prior to that, fans in this state will get a chance to see some of that action inside of an SEC football stadium. The national teams from Argentina and Iceland will make their way to the plains of Auburn for a match on June the 9th. The game will take place inside of Jordan-Hare Stadium. It will serve as Argentina's final prep contest before the World Cup begins the following week. Soccer fans will also get a chance to see Lionel Messi in action.
You know, there's celebrity, and then there's one word celebrity, right? So there's Cher, there's Elvis, and then there's that guy named Messi who's going to be here, and we can't wait to welcome the tonnage of fans that are going to show up here to see arguably the greatest soccer player of all time.
And ticket information for that can be located on the sports page on our website. With the ever-changing flow of college athletics, new coaches like Pauline Love at Alabama facing challenges of rebuilding a team and building a culture. And sometimes they've got to do it while building a team from scratch. Well, this week, most of Alabama's women's basketball team hitting the portal, including two of their top scorers. Among the transfers is Essence Cody. The 6'4" post player recently entered the NCAA transfer portal after a pivotal season. She averaged 11.5 points and 4 rebounds during her final year in T-Town. Last season, she started 22 of 27 games and had a career-high 23-11 against McNeese State. Also hitting that portal was Diana Collins. She started all 33 games for the Crimson Tide women, averaging 8.5 points, 3 rebounds, and 2.5 assists in 28 minutes per contest. She posted 11 double-digit scoring games this season, including 5 straight between December the 17th and January the 8th. Now, because of the moves, Alabama has 3 active players from last year's roster currently still in T-Town: Ace Austin, Tiana Chambers, and former Hazel Green standout Leah Brooks. Speaking of players on the move, Filip Jovic has found a new home after hitting the portal just earlier this week. According to Draft Express, the now former Auburn Tigers taking his talents to the West Coast to play for UCLA. Last season, the Serbian averaged 6.5 points and 4 rebounds. He wrapped up his season with a 12.4 assist effort in Auburn's NIT championship victory. Jovic actually averaged double figures in scoring during Auburn's run of the NIT. Now, coming up tonight in sports at 9 p.m., we'll head over to the Huntsville City Council meeting to see a pair of college basketball teams get honored. See all that tonight in sports on Fox 54. Let's send it back to Kanisha.
Yes, Mo, coming up tonight on Fox 54 News at 9, negotiations for the Iran war ceasefire set to happen this weekend, but bombings continue in Lebanon. We'll have more from the Middle East. Also, Alabama lawmakers push new SNAP limits, now targeting candy, soda, and more, why supporters and critics are clashing. A horse rescue nonprofit reaching out for community support, what you can do to help. All this and more coming up tonight at 9. Well, check this out. A girl is making waves with NASA tonight. Kayla recently wrote a letter, urging the agency to restore Pluto's status as a planet. And she got a response straight from NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. In a tweet, he told Kayla, quote, "We are looking into this," and quote, that simple message has sparked a social media frenzy with thousands weighing in on Pluto's planetary comeback. NASA hasn't announced any formal plans yet. I love this because I remember when I was a kid, perhaps her age, Pluto was a planet.
It was, and I really think Pluto was very wrongfully stricken of its fairly earned title. I don't know why we had an injustice against the planet of Pluto.